Let's talk about it. So apparently, Jamie Lee Curtis recently did an interview where she was spilling tea about Halloween, and said, we were talking about. I think it was the equating of Scream and Jamie Lee Curtis constantly coming back and doing Halloween movies or whatever. But she said that she would not have returned to do the 2018 David Gordon Green directed Halloween movie if she had known that they were planning on doing a trilogy. Because he's saying that she said that he ain't tell her that. So Jamie Lee Curtis didn't know she was about to take on three more Halloween movies when she said yes to David Gordon Green's 2018 film, the sequel to her 1978 film. Now, during a South by Southwest panel titled "If Not Now, When? If Not Me, Who?" I love that title, by the way. Pivoting and manifesting, Curtis opened up about filmmaking and her career as an actress and producer. She first named her appreciation for Jason Blum, saying the only reason I'm sitting in this chair today is because of Jason. Jason Blum, who runs Blumhouse, is the only one who brought back the Halloween movies, she said. However, when she got the call, she thought it was for one movie and didn't hear until way later that they were planning to do more. Well, were they even in on the plan? Because quiet as it's kept, when you look at them scripts, you look at them sequels, it did not feel like there was an initial plan to do Halloween Kills and Ends. Because Halloween Kills definitely feels like it's Michael Myers surviving that fire because he got trapped in that cell that Lori created for him to burn in. Fire department goes, puts it out. He goes through, slaughters everybody that was there, just basically traveling wherever to get to his old home. And that was the plot. It was just a bunch of him killing a bunch of people and people getting stabbed up and gutted and all kinds of crazy. So it was literally just 2 hours of carnage candy. And then we get Halloween Ends, which, as I've said many a times, as a standalone, I like the movie. But as a part of a trilogy, it doesn't work because it does not fulfill what you built up between Michael and Laurie and her trauma and all that other stuff. It felt like you were telling a completely different story about completely different characters that we knew nothing about, and you didn't even create breadcrumbs to lead up to these characters. So, because it was like Corey Cunningham was not in any of them damn movies. Now, in Halloween, during that scene where Michael is walking down the street where he escaped the insane asylum and he goes up in that person's house and he grabs the hammer and he kills the woman. And then he walks through the house and then he goes and stabs another woman in her house as he goes through the driveway and goes through the back door. When we were seeing that scene, we saw characters who was going to end up in Halloween 2 later on. Well, Halloween Kills. They had that brief scene, the black couple where they was getting in the car. They end up getting killed in the second one. So there were little things that was set up in that situation. Corey Cunningham just came out of nowhere. So it just felt like y'all didn't have any ideas. You didn't know how to stick the landing or whatever idea you came up with, and just decided, let's milk this IP for what we have while we have it, and then we're not going to be upfront and honest about Jamie Lee Curtis and how much she's going to appear in the movie, because y'all pretty much sidelined her in Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends she was barely in that. So I felt like it was wasted, but she got her lick back though. She was like, "I'm gonna use it to my advantage." She said, if they had come to me and said it's going to be a trilogy, I don't think I would have said yes. She said, Jason Blum is notoriously cheap. How do you make low budget movies? You don't pay people. That's the model. So, as I said, she used it to her advantage. She said, while we were editing and doing the mix, David said, it's a trilogy. I was like, no. I went to Jason Blum and said, I have some ideas. Maybe you can give me a first look deal. Just pay me a little money. And she said, I said to Jason, how about a little development deal? And I owed him his two Halloween movies. So what was he going to say? So she tricked him. She was like, look, if you want me to appear in these movies because you didn't tell me that I was going to be in these films, then what I'm going to do is give me a development deal. I got ideas. I got something I want to come up with, and just pay me a little money, and then when I need to come to you to put something together, I have it on record that I need you to come in and do your thing, and that's what happened. So She said she wanted the extra money to pay Russell Goldman, a filmmaker who was working with her to try to get Mother Nature made. Goldman now works in development for Curtis's Comet Pictures, and he's making his directorial feature debut at South by Southwest with Cinder. The premiere will be the first time Curtis ever sees the Comet Pictures logo on the big screen. She said, Jason Blum gave me a vanity deal, referencing an earlier moment of the conversation where they discussed how every actor takes the producer credit differently. She added that Blum likely never expected she'd then call him for multiple projects. For example, Curtis heard an NPR story about a school bus driver and teacher who saved 22 children and said, she wanted to produce it. Oh yeah, that's that movie that's on Paramount, Apple TV, The Lost Bus. I was like, wait, that sounds familiar. Isn't Matthew McConaughey greasy ass in that? He's not. There was nominated at the Oscars for Best Visual Effects. The moderator also brought up that the Academy is seemingly finally respecting the horror genre. Took you long enough with the massive amount of love for Sinners, and also where we have Amy Madigan being nominated for her role in Weapons. So they don't fully respect it. It is the one genre that is a guarantee money maker for the most part. Because and it's the one genre I think that you can take creative risks when you're making a movie because you can do different things in horror. You can experiment a lot in the horror universe. So she also noted that although she's a scream queen, she doesn't love the genre, but she can have a major appreciation for it. Well, she's come around to that because I think she really didn't. She said, "I'm in love with the independent filmmaking aspect of the genre." She said, adding that she's so thrilled to see how diverse it has become, which I just said that showcasing different genders and sexuality, or how she puts it, the words that Donald Trump is trying to erase from our language. Curtis added, so because of that, the genre aspect, I appreciate and I owe my life to the genre, and I don't have to pretend to you that I'm a genre girl and that I love it. She later opened up about, oh yeah, and then she's also created this show developed this show, which is what is it from Patricia Cornwell? I think it is called Scarpetta. It's a show that's on Prime. I think all the episodes is up already, and Nicole Kidman is in the lead. I haven't gotten around to watching it yet. I've heard it's good, but she actually called up Jason as Patricia Cornwell. So none of her books have ever been developed on the screen. And Jamie Lee Curtis was like, I want to get behind taking those books and bringing them to life. So she called up Jason Blum, and that was another favor. So and said that she met Nicole Kidman years before the Academy Awards. And Kidman said to her, I see you. I see who you are. I see what you do. I see how you do it. And I really like it. And I want you to continue doing it. So when they remet years later and Kidman asked, and you're in it, Curtis couldn't say no. And she said, I didn't want to be in an hour TV show because the hours are awful. She said that her only desire is to be made a sitcom. So one of the things I've always liked about Jamie Lee Curtis is that she's very much upfront and honest and stands on her stuff when it comes to talking about whatever she wants to talk about. She sticks her foot in her mouth, but that makes her human. And I'd rather you stick your foot in your mouth and realize you made a mistake and own it than just be an asshole and just saying whatever just because you hate being wrong about stuff and you want to stand in your messy convictions. So shout out to her. I think I pretty much said all I need to say about how I felt about them Halloween movies. They weren't the greatest, but it was better than a lot of them other prior sequels. Like I loved the 2018 Halloween. It definitely felt like a genuine sequel to the original. The other two were a little messy, but I appreciate them for what they are, particularly Halloween Ends, like I said, as a standalone Halloween film. If it was like an anthology thing y'all were doing that happened to feature Michael Myers, I could totally that would be considered a good movie. But as part of the trilogy, where it's incorporated with I almost call him by her real name, by Laurie Strode and the whole family dynamic situation, it doesn't work. But as an individual standalone, it works. So shout out to her. And I like the fact that look, it's a lesson learned. And people gonna try to be slick and not be upfront and honest about a deal or whatever in a situation and want to put you in a film. It's like, I'm not gonna get mad at the idea that you wrote me into a 3-movie deal when that wasn't the initial idea. I'm gonna use it to my advantage. And I'm gonna have you develop some projects that I'm passionate about and put your weight behind it. So that is only a matter of time of whether or not people receive it or entertained by it. So I definitely want to hear from you all regarding this story. Whatever your thoughts are in this matter, let me know in the comments down below.